A boundary is not a wall, it's not a rejection, a punishment, or a sign that you don't care. A boundary is simply a definition of what works for you and what doesn't. It tells other people how to relate to you in a way that's sustainable. Without limits, even the best relationships become unbalanced. We give more than we have, stay longer than we should, absorb more than is fair. And eventually we burn out, resent people we love, and wonder what happened. Understanding that a boundary is an act of clarity, not cruelty, is the first and most important shift. You are not pushing people away when you set a limit. You are making honest connection possible. Most people who struggle with boundaries didn't learn this difficulty as adults. It began much earlier, in families or environments where having needs led to disapproval, conflict, or emotional withdrawal. The young mind learned, my needs are a problem. So it adapted by suppressing those needs, agreeing more readily, becoming easier to be around. That adaptation was intelligent and even necessary then. The difficulty is that it doesn't switch off automatically. We carry those old rules into our adult lives, into relationships with people who are not unsafe, and respond to them as if the original threat still exists. The fear of saying no is often not about the current moment. It's about everything that once happened when we did. Guilt is the most reliable saboteur of boundary work. It arrives almost immediately after self-advocacy, sometimes before you've even finished the sentence. And it feels moral. It feels like evidence of having done something wrong. But guilt is not a reliable moral compass. There are two kinds of guilt: the kind that signals you've actually harmed someone, and the kind that fires when you've violated an old internalized rule about how much space you're allowed to take up. Most guilt after a boundary is the second kind. It's a conditioned response, not a conscience. Distinguishing between these two is essential, because if you allow conditioned guilt to reverse every boundary you set, you will never be able to hold one. You can feel guilty and still be right. You can carry the guilt and not undo the limit. When it comes to actually saying a boundary, language matters enormously. Not because you need to perform it perfectly, but because certain phrasings invite less conflict and are easier to hold. The most effective boundary language is present tense, specific, and about you rather than the other person. Not, you always do this, but I need this. Not, you make me feel overwhelmed, but when this happens, I find it hard to cope. The simpler the statement, the harder it is to argue with. That doesn't work for me. I won't be available after 7. I need to leave by 9. These sentences don't require justification or backstory. They state a fact about what you need. Practice saying them before you need them. The more familiar the words are in your mouth, the less frightening they are in the moment. Pushback is almost guaranteed when you begin setting limits with people who are used to having unlimited access to you. It may come as guilt-tripping, as dismissal, as repeated requests as if you hadn't spoken. None of this means you were wrong. It means the other person is experiencing the discomfort of change, which is understandable and not yours to resolve. The most effective response to pushback is calm repetition. Not escalating, not defending, not apologizing. Simply stating the same thing again, in the same tone. I understand. I still can't do that. This technique, sometimes called the broken record, works because it removes the possibility of debate. You are not arguing, you are being steady. Steadiness communicates, more than any explanation, that this is not up for negotiation. The long-term effect of consistent boundary work is not that you become more guarded, more alone, or more difficult. Most people find the opposite. When you stop giving from an empty place, what you give becomes genuinely generous. When you stop saying yes out of fear, the yes you say means something. Relationships often deepen. not in spite of your limits, but because of them. The people who stay and adjust and continue to love you clearly do so because of who you are, not because of your compliance. Your anxiety tends to reduce, not because the external world changed dramatically, but because you stopped abandoning yourself within it. This is the life that becomes possible when limits are held gently, consistently, and with honesty. Not a life without others, a life where there's still a you in it.